Hey, I'm Mr. Williamson, and this video is about blood type genetics. You do not need to take notes on this unless you want to, but there will be a lot of questions about blood type and using the Punnett Square and both phenotype and genotype. So taking notes, while it is optional, you might want to have a piece of paper nearby to write some things down to help you out. But you do whatever buckles your belt. So let's get started. We're going to be working with this Punnett Square. Remember, blood type is has multiple alleles for the trait, all right? But you don't have two at a time. But there are more than two available. Like in Mendel's peas, you had green or yellow, and that was it. Well, here you have A, you have B, or you have little I. But you only have two of them at a time. So what we're going to be looking at is how to use this Punnett Square to help determine the blood type of possible matings. All right? There are only 8 questions or 8 problems on this in this video, but I suggest you take them seriously because these make great test questions, and these probably will see some things very similar to this on the test. I'm trying to make sure that you understand it. Help yourself out. Take it seriously. Let's get started. What is the possible phenotype? Remember, phenotype would be what does it look like, but can't see blood, so it would be the blood type. What is the possible blood types of a offspring of the parent who is big IA crossed with big IB, big IB? Also, what would the genotype be? Answer that in Edpuzzle. Okay, let's take a look at the possible answers. The way we're going to do this is we're going to take the first parent, big IA. What can they give? They can give a big IA. That is all they can give. They can't give big IB. They can't give little I. So none of these bottom 2 rows are going to be looked at. What can the second parent give? Big IB, which means they can't give big IA, they can't give little I. So we're not looking at anything here, we're not looking at anything here. The only thing that this offspring could be would be AB and big IA, big IB. So again, what we're trying to do is eliminate the one that you can't be and then see what's remaining. Let's try another problem. Problem number 2. What would your offspring be? The phenotype and the genotype of the offspring, what could they be? There could be more than one. Of a big IA crossed with a big IB, little I. Go ahead and answer that. And let's take a look at possible answers. Again, what are we looking at? Big IA, what can they give? Well, they can't give big IB. They can't give little I. We're looking at this right here. The only thing they give is big IA. That's it. What can the second parent give? Second parent can give big IB or little I, so they can't give this one. Again, what am I looking at? I'm looking at what can they give. They can give this one or they can give that one. This parent can give that one there. So what could the kid be? Kid could be AB or A. What's the genotypes could it be? Big IA, big IB, big IA, little I. All right? Do you have any questions about that? Answer them asking in this puzzle. Next problem. Problem number 3. What would the genotype and phenotype of a parent of an offspring, or what could they be, of big IA, little I crossed with big IB, little I? Go ahead and answer that. And let's take a look at possible outcomes. Again, what do we want to look at? We want to look at what can they give. Well, the first parent can give a big IA, or they could give a little I. What can the second parent give? What can't they give? What's the first parent? What can't the first parent give? Big IB. There's no big IB in there. What about the second parent? Big IB, little I. Big IB, little I. Can't give anything in the first row. So what can the offspring be? AB, A, B, or O? What could the genotypes be? Big I A, little I, big I A, big I B, big I B, little I, big I B, same thing. Doesn't matter what order you put them in, or little I. Take a look at it. If you didn't get it right, figure out why. If you don't understand it, ask in the Ed puzzle. Problem number 4. I think it's number 4. Big I A, big I B, crossed with little I, little I. What could the phenotype and genotypes be? Go ahead and answer. All right, let's take a look at the answers. What is the first parent? The first parent is big I A, big I B, so they can give these. They cannot give a little I because they don't have a little I to give. What is the second parent? Little I, little I. It's the only thing they can give is a little I. Even though there's 2 of them, we just can only give one. It's going to be the same thing. So they can't give anything in this column, can't give anything in this column. So offspring would be A or B. Big I A, little I, big I B, little I. All right? If you have a question, put it in the Ed puzzle. Question number 5. What happens if you cross, what possible genotype, phenotype would you get if you had big I, B, little I, crossed with little I, little I? Go ahead and answer. And let's take a look at what it could be. First parent, big I, B, little I. So you get big I, B, little I. It's not going to give anything in the big I, A. Second parent, little I, not going to give anything in these first 2 columns. So what could it be? Could be B, could be O. Big I, B, little I, little I, little I. Questions? Ask an Ed puzzle. I think this is number 6. What would the possible genotype and phenotype be of big I A, big I B, crossed with big I A, little I? Go ahead and answer. Take a look at the possible answers. Again, we're going to eliminate what can they not give by looking at what they can give. Big I A, big I B. That's what they can give. That's all they have over here. So there's no little I. What can the second parent give? Big I A, little I, not going to give anything there. So what could it be? Could be A, could be B, could be AB. What are the genotypes? Could be big I, A, little I. Could be big I, A, big I, A. Big I, A, big I, little I. Big I, B, little I, excuse me. Or big I, A, big I, B. Remember, it doesn't matter what order you put in, A or B, as long as they're there, doesn't matter. Next problem. What happens if you cross a big I, B, little I with a big I, B, big I, B? Go ahead and answer. All right, let's take a look. All right, what can the first parent give? Big I, B, little I. Again, the secret, circle, in my mind, circle what they can give, cross out what they can't. They don't have a big I, A, they can't give it. What can the second parent give? Big I, B. Can't give any I's, can't give any I, A's. So what can the offspring be? B. Either big I, B, or big I, B, little I. Either one of those is going to be B. Next one. What happens if you cross a big I, A, big I, B, crossed with big I, A, big I, A? What genotype and phenotype could you get? Go ahead and answer. Let's take a look at possible answers. What can the first parent give? Big I, A, big I, B. No little I. What can the second parent give? Big I, A. There's no B, there's no little I. So the offspring could either be A or AB. What could the genotype be? Big I, A, big I, A, big I, A, big I, B. Again, doesn't matter what order we put it in. Okay, that's 8 problems that are very similar to something that you might see on the test. Hopefully you did well. If you didn't do well, hopefully you got better as we went along. Again, let me help you out. Look at what the parents can give. Cross out what the parents can't give. Whatever's still left open, that's what the offspring could be. If you have any questions, please make sure you ask it in Edpuzzle or in class. If you took notes, I hope to help you. Good luck.